You bought an F-150 because it is the truck that does everything. The best-selling vehicle in America for over 40 years. The one that tows, hauls, works all week, and still cleans up for the weekend. And that is exactly the mindset the aftermarket industry is counting on. Because the moment you start treating your F-150 like it is indestructible, you start bolting on upgrades that feel like improvements, but are quietly working against the engineering Ford built underneath. Most of these mistakes do not show up the day you make them. They show up a year later in a service bay on an invoice you never saw coming. Today we are counting down 15 F-150 upgrades and habits that are quietly destroying your truck and your wallet. And the number one on this list has knocked more value off clean F-150s than rust ever has. Number 15. The cheap leveling kit with no upgraded parts. This is the single most common F-150 modification there is, and it starts with the best intentions. You want the truck to sit level and clear a bigger tire, so you buy a strut spacer or a coil spacer kit, bolt it on over a weekend, and the truck looks fantastic. It sits level. It fits the tires. Everybody's happy for about a year. Then the clunking starts. The front end wanders on the highway. The tires cup and wear no matter how many alignments you pay for. Here is what actually happened. On the F-150 front suspension, that leveling spacer pushed your ball joints, your tie rods, and on a 4x4, your front half shafts past the angle they were designed to run at. The CV joints on those half shafts are now flexing steeper on every rotation. The boots tear, the joints dry out, and now you are replacing half shafts and ball joints, plus alignment, for well over $1,000. You just spent a fortune to save $200 on the upper control arms that were built for the new ride height. That is the entire difference between a modification and a mistake. Number 14. Wheel spacers that eat your unit bearings. F-150 owners love spacers because they push the wheels out, fill the wheel wells, and give that wide, aggressive stance. The problem is what they do to your front unit bearings. That spacer adds leverage to a sealed bearing that Ford engineered for the factory wheel position, and every mile you drive multiplies the load on it. The thicker the spacer, the faster the wear. Stack a cheap, off-center spacer on top of that, and now you have vibration piling onto the extra load. F-150 owners running 2-inch spacers report front hub bearing failures as early as 20,000 miles. A factory unit bearing on a stock truck routinely runs past 100,000. Replacement runs $300 to $500 aside by the time it is done. Do it twice because you never pulled the spacers, and the spacers have cost you more than the wheels ever did. If you want a wider stance, buy a wheel with the correct offset built in. Same look, no death sentence on your bearings. Number 13. Big tires with the wrong gears. This one is painful because the truck drives fine at first. The 35s look incredible. But your F-150 came geared around the stock tire diameter, whether that is a 355 or a 373 rear axle, and every inch of extra tire height changes the effective gearing. Put 35s on a truck geared for 32s, and the 10-speed automatic is now working noticeably harder to move the same truck. You will feel it. The 10-speed hunts between gears on the highway, the torque converter locks and unlocks over and over looking for a gear it likes, and on the EcoBoost trucks, the turbos are spooling harder just to keep up. Fuel economy falls off a cliff, and that constant strain quietly shortens the life of a 10-speed that costs $4,000 or more to replace. Regearing both axles to match the new tire runs about $1,000 to $2,000. That sounds like real money until you set it next to a transmission. Regear it and the truck drives the way Ford intended, just with the bigger tires you wanted in the first place. Number 12. The bargain shelf part. This applies to almost everything, but it shows up worst on the parts that keep you pointed straight and stopped. Unit bearings, ball joints, tie rod ends. An F-150 owner replaces a worn part with the cheapest unit on the shelf, $40, feels great about the savings. 6 months later, the grinding is back, so they replace it again. Same brand, same price, same result. Meanwhile, the owner who bought the quality part paid more once and never thought about it again. The cheap buyer spent more money, more time, and more aggravation than the person who bought it right the first time. You do not have to buy everything from the Ford dealer counter. You just have to buy from the companies that actually build to the original specification. On critical steering, suspension, and drivetrain parts on a truck this heavy, the trusted names are worth every extra dollar. The cheapest part in the box is almost never the cheapest part to own. Number 11. Ignoring the IWE grind. Here is one that is pure F-150, and almost nobody outside the Ford world even knows the term. Your 4x4 F-150 uses a system called integrated wheel ends, or IWS, vacuum actuators on the front hubs that lock and unlock your front axles. When the vacuum lines crack, the solenoid fails, or the actuator seals dry out, the front hubs stop locking cleanly, and the sound is unmistakable. A grinding, clicking roar from the front end, usually worst on initial acceleration or in four-wheel drive. Most owners turn up the radio and ignore it. That is the trap. Run it long enough and you chew up the actuators and the splines inside the hubs, and a $30 vacuum line problem turns into hundreds of dollars in parts and labor. The fix when you catch it early is cheap, often just lines and a solenoid. Catch it late and you are deep into the front hubs. On an F-150, that grinding noise is not a personality. It is a bill counting up. Number 10. Pressure washing the engine bay. An F-150 engine bay is not sealed up like a luxury car, and on the EcoBoost trucks, it is packed even tighter. The coil packs, the connectors, the turbo solenoids, the fuse box, they are all sitting right out in the open. Hit them with a pressure washer, and you are forcing water into places it was never meant to reach. The most common result is misfires from waterlogged coil packs, and on a twin-turbo EcoBoost, a misfire is not a small thing. After that comes corroded connectors throwing phantom check engine codes weeks later, long after you forgot you ever washed it. Worst case, water gets into the alternator and takes out your charging system. A new alternator runs $400 to $600 installed on these trucks, and the real cost is the hours chasing every other electrical symptom first. If you want a clean bay, use a garden hose on low pressure, keep it off the electronics, and let it dry before you start the truck. 5 minutes of restraint saves you a season of chasing electrical gremlins. Number 9. The frame rust you cannot see. Now here is one a lot of F-150 owners get wrong, especially on the newer trucks. Since 2015, the F-150 body is aluminum, so people assume rust is no longer their problem. The body panel, sure, but the frame under your aluminum truck is still steel, and so are your brake lines and your fuel lines. In the salt states, those steel parts are under attack every winter, while the shiny aluminum body fools you into thinking everything is fine. The most dangerous version is a rusted brake line. It corrodes from the outside in, and when it finally lets go, it lets go all at once. You press the pedal and it sinks to the floor. By the time frame rot shows, a cut and weld repair runs into the thousands, and on a bad enough frame, the truck is worth more as scrap than as a repair. But get under it early, treat it with fluid film or undercoating for $100 to $300 a year, and you stop the clock. The aluminum body bought you nothing underneath. The frame is still the cheapest the day you notice it. Number 8. Mixing your coolant. Your F-150 uses a specific long-life coolant engineered to last years in a sealed system, and Ford is particular about it for a reason. The problem starts when somebody tops it off with the wrong type, or a slow leak lets air into the system. Mix 2 incompatible coolants and you can create a gel that clogs the heater core, the radiator, and on the EcoBoost, the secondary cooling circuit that keeps your turbos and intercooler alive. Let the wrong coolant break down, and it turns acidic and starts eating gaskets from the inside. And here is the part that makes it expensive. The heater core sits behind the entire dashboard. Replacing it means pulling the dash apart, and on an F-150, that job runs $800 to well over $1,200. Almost all of it labor. The coolant itself costs a fraction of that. Use the exact type your truck calls for, never mix colors to save a trip to the parts store, and flush on Ford's schedule. This is not the place to improvise. Number 7. Drop-in LED bulbs in the wrong housing. Drop-in LED bulbs are sold as a direct replacement for your factory bulbs. They bolt right in, they are brighter, and in the reflector housings a lot of F-150 trims came with, they scatter light everywhere and blind every oncoming driver on the road. That is the safety problem. The money problem is quieter. A cheap LED driver makes heat in a different place than the factory bulb does. And the F-150 headlight connector was never designed for it. Over time, that connector melts. Once it melts, you are not replacing a bulb anymore. You are replacing a full F-150 headlight assembly, and on the higher trims, with the fancy lighting, that is a $400 to $600 part, sometimes far more. If you want LEDs, do it right. Buy a complete projector or factory-style LED assembly engineered for LED output from the start. It costs more up front, but the beam pattern is correct. You are not blinding your neighbors, and the wiring is actually rated for the heat. Quick thing before we get to the top 6, because this is where the real money is. If you are still with me this far in, you are clearly the kind of F-150 owner who actually wants to keep this truck on the road for the long haul, not hand a service department your paycheck over something that was avoidable. So do me one favor. Tap that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, and it tells me to keep making these. Now, number 6 is the one that quietly cooks the 10-speed, and almost nobody sees it coming until the fluid is already burnt. Number 6, towing at max with no extra cooling. That door sticker says your F-150 can tow a big number, and with the max tow package and the EcoBoost, it genuinely can. What the sticker does not say is that the factory transmission cooler was sized for a truck running mild, not for dragging that number up a long grade in August. Under sustained load, the 10-speed's fluid temperature can climb past 200 degrees in minutes, and most owners never see it because they do not have a gauge, and the factory warning only wakes up when the fluid is already dangerously hot. Transmission fluid starts breaking down fast above 220 degrees, and every degree past that is quietly shaving life off the clutches and seals inside that 10-speed. This is exactly why I run a transmission temperature gauge on any truck I tow with. Knowing that number is the difference between backing off in time and finding out too late. A small trans temp gauge is one of the cheapest tools you can put in an F-150, and the one I use is linked in the description. An auxiliary cooler runs about 150 to 300 installed and can drop fluid temps 20 to 40 degrees under load. That is cheap insurance on a 10-speed that costs $4,000 to $5,000 to replace. If you tow regularly, this is not an upgrade, it is a necessity. Number 5, the low-mounted cold air intake. The factory air box on your F-150 sits up high for a reason, positioned to keep the filter above the splash zone of the front wheels. Some aftermarket cold air intakes, especially the open element, kits people love on the EcoBoost for that turbo whistle, relocate the filter down low near the fender, right where rain and puddle spray collect. And that sets up the one failure on this whole list that happens in a single instant with no warning. One deep puddle at speed or a hard highway rainstorm, and water gets pulled straight through the filter into the engine. This is hydrolock. Water does not compress like air, so when the piston comes up to compress it, something has to give, and the connecting rod bends. On a twin-turbo EcoBoost, the engine is finished. This is not a slow decline you nurse along. One event destroys the motor, and insurance will usually deny it the second they see the modification that caused it. An EcoBoost replacement runs well past $8,000. If you want an intake, make sure the filter sits at least as high as the factory box, or run a sealed air box setup designed to keep water out. A little extra turbo noise is not worth a bent rod. Number 4, never touching the parking brake. Most F-150 owners shift into park and walk away, and the parking brake just sits there unused for years. On the cable trucks, the cables corrode, and the mechanism seizes. The failure shows up at the worst angle. When a seized cable finally lets go on one side but not the other, it drags that rear pad against the rotor constantly, burning through the pad, glazing the rotor, and creating a pull most owners blame on the front brakes, sending them chasing the wrong repair entirely. Parking brake and the rear brake damage it causes runs $400 to $700. On the newer F-150s with the electronic parking brake, the cables are gone. But the calipers and actuators still need to be cycled, and a seized electronic rear caliper is an even bigger bill. Either way, the fix is nearly free. Use the parking brake regularly. It keeps everything moving and alive, and it costs you 1 extra second when you park. A part that works because you used it is always cheaper than a part that seized because you did not. Number 3, skipping undercarriage protection in salt country. If you live where road salt gets used, your F-150's frame, Brake lines and fuel lines are under chemical attack every time you drive from November to April. And remember, the aluminum body does nothing to protect any of that. Ford has improved their coatings over the years, but no factory coating is built to survive the life of the truck in heavy salt. The most dangerous failure is a rusted brake line, corroding from the outside in until it goes suddenly, pedal straight to the floor. That is not a maintenance item. That is an emergency on a road somewhere. Annual fluid film or undercoating runs about $100 to $300. A rotted frame that compromises the truck is often worth more than the truck to repair, which is why in the salt belt frame rot is the #1 reason a perfectly good running F-150 gets sent to the scrapyard with a clean drivetrain still in it. This is one of the rare cases where the cost of prevention is not even in the same universe as the cost of failure. Number 2, ignoring the warning light. The traction control or advanced TRAS light comes on, the truck still drives fine, so most owners just live with it. That is the trap. On the F-150, the most common cause is a failing wheel speed sensor, a $20 to $40 part. But left alone, that bad sensor keeps feeding garbage data to the control module. The module keeps trying to compensate, and over time it can burn itself out. Now you are looking at a module replacement that runs $800 to over $1,500, all because of a sensor that costs less than a tank of gas. The good news is the truck will tell you exactly what is wrong if you ask it. An inexpensive code scanner in the port under the dash names the failing sensor in about 10 seconds. And the one I keep in my own truck is linked in the description. When that light comes on, do not ignore it and do not throw parts at it. Pull the code, and if it is a wheel speed sensor, fix it right away. The sensor is cheap. The module it protects is anything but. Number 1, working the bed bare. This sounds minor next to bent rods and rotted frames, but it quietly costs F-150 owners more money than almost anything else on this list, just in a different way. Every time you slide a toolbox, a load of lumber, or a pallet across a bare bed, you scratch through the coating and expose metal to moisture. And here is the F-150 specific twist. On the steel bed trucks, rust starts at those scratches and creeps under the paint in every direction. On the aluminum bed years, it does not rust the same way, but it gouges, corrodes white, and looks just as beat. Within a couple of years, that bed looks like it has been through a war. At trade-in or resale, that beat-up bed knocks anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 off the value. Because the first thing a buyer or an appraiser does is drop the tailgate and look. A spray-in bed liner costs $400 to $600. A drop-in costs even less, and either one pays for itself several times over the day you sell. If your F-150 does any real work at all, a bed liner is not an accessory. It is the cheapest insurance you will ever buy on the truck itself. Those are 15 F-150 upgrades and habits that quietly turn the best-selling truck in America into an expensive problem. And notice the pattern. Almost every one of them costs less than $100 to prevent, and every single one costs hundreds or thousands to fix after the fact. The aftermarket will always sell you the part that looks like an improvement. Your job is to know which ones actually are. If even one of these was something you were about to do, or already did, your F-150 is better off for the next 100,000 miles now that you know. Stick around because the next video breaks down the F-150 engines and years to avoid before you buy your next one. Subscribe so it lands in your feed, and I will see you in that one.